Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto became the Orange Flash and loved Blaze? Part 2. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. In the middle of a street of present-day Solana, a blue swirling portal appeared and out fell Sonic, Tails and Knuckles. Looks like we made it back in one piece, said Knuckles as he looked around to make sure that they're back in the present. Yeah, but where did Shadow and Rouge go? I don't see Naruto here either, said Tails. The trio turned to look at the portal, which was slowly closing. Then at that moment an orange fox with 9 tails came through it and landed before them. Hey Naruto, you almost had us worried there for a second, said Sonic. Actually, I'm a clone. The boss decided to hang back at the future, said the clone, which surprised the others. Huh? But why would he do that? Asked Knuckles. Boss saw Shadow going after that doppelganger we saw earlier talking to Silver and decided to hang back to get some answers on what he possibly knows. Are you sure they'll be alright? Asked Tails. Don't worry, the boss will meet up with you guys later, said the clone. Okay then, we'll catch you later, said Sonic with a thumbs up. The Shadow clone nodded in affirmation before disappearing while Naruto is doing his thing. Let's find information that could help us locate where Eggman could have taken Elise. Then a newspaper which was floating in the wind hit his leg. Sonic picked it up to read it with Tails and Knuckles looking over his shoulder to read as well. Meanwhile in the future, Shadow had pursued Mephiles all the way to the middle of a large rock platform surrounded with lava. There he saw Mephiles standing on top of one of those strange trees. So you decided to void your return ticket? And it seems like you're not the only one, said Mephiles. Shadow heard footsteps and turned around to see Naruto walking towards them, much to his surprise. What are you doing here? I wanted to get some answers from this guy. I have reasons to believe that he knows what happened to make the future end up like this, Naruto replied. And it's possible that he could be the cause from what we saw back at the facility, since he lied to those two about Sonic being the reason why the world was destroyed, said Kurama. That's part of the reason why I followed him as well, said Shadow. Then they turned to face Mephiles, which leads me to ask, why are you here and if you ruin this world? The answer is yes and no, said Mephiles. What is that supposed to mean? Get to the point, said Naruto. If you insist, then it's best that I show you. Mephiles snapped his fingers. Then Naruto and Shadow saw a cage appear nearby, but it was who was inside the cage that shocked them. Inside the cage was... That's right, Shadow, it is you. What happened? Asked Naruto with narrowed eyes. After the world was devastated by Iblis flames, what do you think happened? A search for the guilty. What did this, you may ask? Humanity wasn't just jealous of your power, they feared it, and used this incident as an excuse to hunt you down. People fear what they don't understand or can't control, thought Naruto, sadly remembering back how the people of the Hidden Leaf would treat him with anger and hatred, all because they thought he was the reincarnation of the 9-tailed fox. Kurama felt the same way, as he and the other tailed beasts were treated as weapons instead of beings of free will. But in the end, villagers finally acknowledged Naruto for who he truly is, and Kurama found true friendship in his host. They turned their attention back to Mephiles, who continued to speak. Come with me, Shadow, let us punish this world of humanity. It is only fair to give back what was intended for you. You have every right to want justice, said Mephiles. This guy is no different from Madara. He's trying to deceive Shadow and use him as a pawn to destroy the world, said Kurama angrily. I know, just like how Madara tricked Obito. I just hope that Shadow makes the right decision, thought Naruto as he looked at Shadow. Shadow was silent for a moment before finally speaking. That's absurd. Whatever it is you want to do, you can do it alone. Naruto and Kurama smiled at his refusal to fall into temptation. So you forgive humanity this folly then? Mephiles pointed at the cage containing the future Shadow. I decide my own destiny. Truer words can't be spoken, Shadow. No one can decide your path except yourself, said Naruto as he stood next to Shadow. Mephiles could be heard growling in anger as purple light surrounded before fading to reveal him in a different appearance. His whole body is crystalline with no visible mouth, nose or feet, and was emitting a large purple aura. Humph, such foolishness. Very well, let's see if you can entertain me. As he said that, a large number of dark creatures which bear resemblance to him except that their heads are triangular with a single eye on their face, and two hands with claw-like fingers appeared behind him before charging forward. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST. Boss, Mephiles. Here they come, get ready, Shadow. Naruto took out his Hashirama kunai while Shadow simply nodded before taking a stance. I wonder how you will prevail. They heard a voice and looked down to see Mephiles acting as Shadow's shadow and staring back at them. How did he get there? Said Naruto. More importantly, you two should focus on the incoming enemies, said Kurama. Got it. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto summoned a large number of clones who immediately charged at the shadows along with Naruto himself. He started slashing left and right as the shadows faded away in smoke, with several charging in to take their place. He slammed an explosive tag on the ground and quickly backflipped to evade the converging enemies before releasing a pulse of chakra for the tag to activate as it exploded and took a majority of the shadows out. Swift release. Bladed shadow dance. The shadows began to disappear as he was zipping around and taking them down before they could even react. Suddenly he heard an explosion and a memory of a clone flowed into his mind. He looked through the memory before calling out to Shadow, heads up, Shadow. Don't let any of those shadows get a hold of you. They turn into makeshift bombs when they grab you. No sooner he said that did he throw the Hashirama kunai into the air before disappearing in a flash to avoid a cluster of the shadows that tried to pile on him. He reappeared in the air to grab the Hashirama kunai and formed a Rasengan with his free hand as he dived back to the ground and rammed it into his opponents. Understood, said Shadow as he was using his homing attack to take down the shadows approaching him. He saw the shadows converging towards him and quickly reacted to them. He pressed a hand against the ground while holding himself and his body up before proceeding to spin around in a 360-degree circle that almost seems like he was breakdancing to take down the shadows before landing back on the ground. He reared his hand back as yellow electricity appeared on his hand's chaos spear, then threw a volley of arrow-shaped energy at some of the shadows which left them paralyzed and quickly used his homing attack to take them out. It doesn't matter how many you defeat, you know? Mephiles sneered from within the shadow. I have to find a way to draw him out of the shadows, thought Shadow as he continued to fight back the shadows who were still attacking him. Shadow. He turned his attention to Naruto, who had just used a Rasengan to blow the enemies away from him before turned towards him. We need to flush out Mephiles and take him down since he must be the one controlling the shadows. I know, and I have an idea how to do so, said Shadow. Mephiles scoffed at what he heard. It's useless. I'm your shadow. There's no way you can touch me. We'll see about that. Chaos boost. Shadow's body began to emit a red aura of chaos energy had such intensity that it forced Mephiles out of his shadow, much to his shock, and also made the shadows recoil in fear. Amazing, said Naruto as he watched Shadow emit such power. I can sense a portion of his sealed power being released. Now's our chance to attack Mephiles, said Kurama. What? How could you do this? Mephiles was in disbelief. Shadow simply smirked, then the shadows swarmed around him again to attack Chaos Blast. He charged the chaos energy inside his body before releasing in a form of an explosion, taking down a lot of shadows within a 10-yard radius. He jumped into the air and took aim at Mephiles' Chaos Lance, then fired a long red bolt which struck, causing him to cry out in pain, and tried move but couldn't as his body was crackling with electricity to signify that he was paralyzed. Shadow didn't miss a beat as he quickly followed it up with a chaos attack and knocked him back. Damn you, Shadow! Mephiles yelled in outrage as he raised his hands in the air and a purple ball of energy formed and was growing in size. Take this. He was about to throw it when he heard a voice from behind him. He's not the only one you should pay attention to. He turned around to see Naruto diving towards him with a blue spinning ball of energy in his hand, Rasengan. He slammed his attack into Mafil's chest, which sent him crashing to the ground. He got up from the ground and looked up to see Naruto charging straight at him, while twirling a large windmill shuriken in his hand. Demon windmill shuriken. Then he threw it straight at Mafil's. As if that will harm me. Mafil's was about to sidestep out of the way when the shuriken puffed into smoke, much to his surprise, to reveal Naruto right in front of him with his fist reared back. Surprise, surprise! He slammed his fist under Mafil's chin, which launched him upwards into the air before crossing his middle and index fingers together. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 3 of his clones appeared before jumping after Mafil's, with 2 grabbing his arms and slamming him to the ground, and the 3rd driving his knee into his gut before they dispelled. Naruto was about to attack again when the shadows appeared to engage. "Leave him to me," said Shadow as he skated towards Mafil's, who was about to fire a purple orb at Naruto. A few shadows moved in to intercept the black hedgehog, much to their error. Chaos snap. Then he disappeared from their sight, only to reappear before one of them and take it out with a kick. He warped again to another one and attacked again until he appeared before Mafil's and dealt him a powerful punch to send him crashing to the ground again. When Shadow landed on the ground, the red aura faded away as he felt his power being sealed once more before approaching Mafil's to interrogate him again. Suddenly Mafil's got up and shot a purple orb, knocking Shadow into a tree to incapacitate him before he proceeded towards him. Shadow! Naruto punched one of the shadows away and was about to move in to help the black hedgehog, when a barrage of bullets came in between Shadow and Mafil's. They all turned to see a robot with an arm cannon standing in the distance. It's humanoid in shape with a stocky upper body and arms with claws for hands and yellow wrists studded with spikes like a dog collar. It has a color scheme of red, black, yellow, green, silver, and gray. What is noted is the red visible Greek symbol on the front of the left and the back of the right shoulder, plus the silver stripe running from the head to the stomach. "Omega," said Shadow in surprise. The now identified Omega retracted his arm cannon and brought out his clawed fingers. "Now is the designated time. I shall assist." "He's a friend of yours, Shadow? And what does he mean by that?" asked Naruto. "He's my partner, Rouge, and I found him back at the city, but he was in standby mode," said Shadow as he got back to his feet. "Shadow, Rouge sent me to assist you," said Omega as he walked up to them before taking a glance at Naruto. "Creature unknown, energy signature unknown. Alignment requested." "What is he talking about?" asked Naruto confusedly. "I think he's trying to find out if we're his enemies or allies," said Kurama. "Stand down, Omega. His name is Naruto and he's on our side," said Shadow. "Confirmed. Creature identified as Naruto the Nine-Tailed Fox. Alignment. Ally," said Omega before turning to face Mafil's, who had summoned more of his minions to attack them. Incoming hostiles. Firing Omega's shot, Omega's right forearm retracted and brought out a gun barrel. Then he took aim at the shadows and fired a spray of yellow pellets, destroying them completely. "Whoa, I'm pretty sure that Tenten would want to take this guy home with her," thought Naruto with wonder. "Stay focused, Kit. We need to take down Mafil's," said Kurama. "Got it." Naruto took a stance with Shadow doing the same before charging at Mafil's. The shadows stood in their way and tried to grab them, but Naruto leapt forward with his claws out. Fox Flurry. He proceeded to slash rapidly through them before finishing it up with a cross slash, which took a majority out. A swarm of shadows were heading towards Omega with a pincer attack to catch him off guard. Activating lock-on shot, the robot started charging energy to his left forearm as gun barrels opened up with orange auras emitting from them. From Omega's point of view, multiple crosshairs appeared on the shadows and beeped to signal that the targets have been locked on firing. Then a barrage of orange lasers shot out of the gun barrels and homed in on the targets, destroying them completely. Switching to rapid fire, he proceeded to shoot volleys of bullets at the remaining shadows. Chaos Spear! Shadow threw another projectile at Mafil's, who was darting left and right to evade the attacks, and responded in kind with purple orbs, which Shadow avoided by skating around quickly with his hover shoes. Mafil's raised his hands to the air as a purple orb appeared and grew larger with each passing second. "Take this and perish, Shadow." Then he threw straight Shadow. Shadow stood ready as the purple orb quickly closed in towards his location. As the very last second he called out Chaos Control. He disappeared much to Mafil's shock before reappearing and slamming a roundhouse kick on his back, sending him flying forward towards the ground. He was about to crash when he saw a tri-pronged knife hit the ground before there was a yellow flash to reveal Naruto standing there with his fist reared back. Chew on this. Then he thrust it forward to slam Haymaker Punch to send Mafil's bouncing along the ground before skidding to a stop. At the same time the shadows disappeared without a trace. Music end. Shadow and Omega came and stood by Naruto as they watched Mafil struggle to his feet and glare at them with hatred. Then he raised a hand to form a purple orb which made them tense for an attack, but then he jumped into the orb and disappeared. Mafil's! Shadow shouted before racing towards the orb with Omega close behind. Don't let him escape! Naruto joined the pursuit as they all jumped into the orb before it disappears. The trio exited from the orb and looked around to notice that they're back in present and are currently in New City. However, they couldn't find any trace of Mafil's. It appears Mafil's is no longer here. I will assist in pursuing him, said Omega, to which Shadow nodded in affirmation. I'm coming along as well. I get the feeling that I won't be able to find Sonic and the others in the city right now, said Naruto. Especially since they've obviously gone to search for the princess, said Kurama. Very well then. At that moment, Shadow's wrist communicator started to beep before he pressed a button and a male voice is heard. Agent Shadow, we've lost contact with Agent Rouge. Head to the warehouse district immediately. Understood, we'll be heading over immediately, said Shadow before cutting of the link. Then they quickly moved towards the warehouse district where Naruto had gone before with Sonic, and were looking around for Rouge when they heard someone call out to them from behind. Hi, looks like you also brought Foxy along with you. They turned around to see Rouge approaching them with an airy wave. It looks like Eggman's machine are looking for you, Shadow. What did you do this time? Nothing, their target is probably Mafil's, said Shadow. Makes sense since he's currently taking on your form, so those mechs would mistake you for him, said Naruto. What is Eggman up to? Who is Mafil's? Asked Omega. I'm gonna ask him directly. Shadow started to walk away from them. Hey, wait a sec, said Rouge. I can handle this alone while you keep track, you Mafil's. Well, I'm tagging along, Shadow. Eggman still has the princess in his custody and I'll be sure to meet up with Sonic along the way, said Naruto. Shadow stood there and gave him a curt nod before resuming his walk. If both of you are looking for Dr. Eggman, intel tells me that he's currently traveling by train to his hidden base, said Rouge. In that case, I got to get to the station. Shadow skated off and then Naruto turned to Rouge and Omega. I wish you two luck, said Naruto before running after Shadow. You too, Foxy, said Rouge. Then she tapped on her wrist communicator. This is Rouge. I need all available data on an item called the Scepter of Darkness. Meanwhile, Naruto had caught up with Shadow, and they both reached the train station and entered it to find another mirror displaying the image of a moving train before jumping inside. Then they exited out of the void tunnel and found themselves standing on a platform next to a set of rails in a mountainous area, and they could barely see the bottom of the mountain. Now that we're here, how will we know which train Eggman will be on? Said Naruto as he looked around. Shadow was about to answer when they heard a blare of a horn and turned to see a locomotive passing by while pulling several metal containers along the rails. Shadow's eyes narrowed upon seeing a certain red logo on the train. That's the doctor's train that just passed us. We have to destroy it so it doesn't get away, said Shadow. Got it, let's go, said Naruto as he got ready to run. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Radical Train, The Abandoned Mine. Naruto and Shadow dashed after the train and were currently running at the right side of the rails. Eggman must have seen them coming as they heard his voice through a loudspeaker. You are just wasting your time. You're never going to catch me, said Eggman with an arrogant tone. Then he deployed several squads of mechs to intercept them. They dashed to the broken end of the platform and bounced off a spring to the other side where a squad of gunners and flyers appeared before them along with a new one that they haven't seen before. This one was flying at first, but when it descended to the ground, it proceeded to shift into a form with large legs with drills on its feet, lasers on the arms, and a cannon at the front. This new mech fired lasers from its arms, forcing Naruto and Shadow to move out of the way. Naruto dashed forward and formed a Rasengan before slamming it into one of its legs, causing it to lose its balance. Shadow lunged forward as he jumped into the air towards its back and used his homing attack to destroy the core, causing it to explode. Then they went ahead to engage the flyers and gunners quickly as the train was slowly getting ahead. They located another spring and bounced off it into several more until they went over to left side of the train and were ahead of it. There was another squad of mechs waiting for them, so Naruto created some shadow clones to engage them while they tried to find a way to stop the train. There has to be some way to stop the train so that we can destroy it, said Shadow. Then Naruto saw something nearby and pointed at it. What's that over there? Shadow turned to look at where he was pointing and saw a floating white ball with a yellow star in it, and it was floating above a round metallic plate with red edge. That's a ball switch. Activating it should erect a barrier that will stop the train. Shadow dashed towards the switch and pressed it. Then red lasers appeared across the rails just as the train was approaching, forcing it to halt. They heard Eggman's voice, which was full of irritation through the speaker. The barrier is stopping me. Hurry up and take down the barrier. Now's our chance. Fox Flurry. Naruto lunged forward with his claws extended and his time covered in chakra. Chaos attack. Shadow was close behind as he leapt into the air towards the train. The train was getting inflicted with claw marks and dents, but Eggman finally managed to disable the barrier and was on the move again. Now that the barrier's down, I'll be seeing you losers later. Farewell, said Eggman arrogantly. Quickly, let's get ahead of him and put up another barrier, said Shadow, to which Naruto nodded in affirmation. A nearby metal gate opened up for them to pass through, then they stepped on a dash panel which sped them through a loop to the other side, where they launched off a dash ramp to land on a platform next to a wooden building where they could see sets of conveyor belts. You better be careful, Naruto. Those things seem to change directions at any time, said Kurama. Got it, said Naruto. Naruto and Shadow quickly made their way through the conveyor belts while making sure not to fall off until making it to the top of the wooden building. Before them were several scales that led to another platform ahead. These scales look fragile. We better run across it, said Shadow. Then they heard a blare of the horn signaling that the train is coming. And fast, the train's almost here, said Naruto. The duo stepped on one of the scales with one side sinking and the other rising, but they jumped to the other one before getting to another set of scales until they finally gotten to the next area. There Naruto and Shadow found another ball switch to activate the barrier. However, it was locked in a cage similar to the one Naruto found back at the desert with the mechs guarding it. If it is similar to the one from before, then it means that you have to take out all the enemies for that cage to open, said Kurama. Naruto nodded in affirmation as he took out a handful of kunai before wrapping some explosive tags around their handles. Then he dashed towards on the walker mech which fired its guns at him. Swift release, shadow dance. He sped forward as he evaded the gunfire before he got between the walker's legs and stabbed them with the kunai. Then he jumped away and set off the tags to explode, which destroyed before finishing up with a Rasengan aiming at the head. Naruto turned around to see Shadow defeating the last of the mechs with a homing attack which opened the cage. Naruto touched a ball switch to put up another one, stopping the train in its tracks. This again? Looks like I have to take down this barrier as well, said Eggman. Once again, Naruto and Shadow attacked the train with their individual attacks, further damaging it. But Eggman had managed to take down the barrier much quicker than before, and the train was on the move again and entered through a tunnel in the mountain. This time there are no more barriers from here on, so see you losers later. Damn! Now how can we stop the train? Naruto spoke with a frown. I have an idea, follow me, said Shadow as he bounced off a spring and went into a mine tunnel. Naruto looked confused for a moment but decided to follow as he also stepped on the spring to go after him. Meanwhile, the train have exited out of the tunnel and was currently moving along the tracks towards the hidden base. Eggman was sitting before the control panel with an arrogant smirk on his face. He could tell that neither Shadow nor that fox who was beginning to annoy him were anywhere with his sight ever since he passed through the tunnel. "That ought to teach those two not to mess with me," said Eggman. At that moment one of his screens started to beep loudly. "Doctor, we have vehicle which is currently pursuing the train," said the AI of the computer system. "Put it on display." A screen lit up for Eggman to watch, his eyebrows raised up in surprise before he started to growl in anger at who was pursuing him behind the vehicle. "Deploy all units. Keep them away from the train." Eggman pressed a button on the control panel to activate the mechs. Music change, Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Radical Train, The Chase. Outside the train, an open-topped motor vehicle, Buggy, was slowly catching up with Shadow behind the wheel and Naruto, who was standing at the back, manning a gun turret. "It's a good thing we found this in the mine tunnel," said Naruto. "Aim for the cargoes for us to get closer to the train before disabling it as well," said Shadow. "Got it," said Naruto. Then they saw several of Eggman's mechs approaching the buggy. "Not before we take care of the receptionists." Following the instructions given to him by Shadow, Naruto aimed the turret at incoming fleet of flyers who were approaching from the left, and pulled the trigger to release a rapid fire of bullets upon them. Most of the mechs tried to dodge the gunfire but were shot down as Shadow swerved the vehicle to avoid the wreckage and continued to catch up with the train. When they got close enough, Naruto took aim at the first cargo and fired. Before long it exploded after being pelted with bullets, but the turret let out a hissing sound and emitted steam while feeling hot. "What happened?" asked Naruto as he looked at the gun confusedly. "The gun overheated. It's best that you wait until it cools down. Afterwards I suggest that you use short bursts to avoid overheating again," said Shadow, swerving to evade the parts of the destroyed cargo. While he waited for the gun turret to cool down, Naruto took to using chakra-enhanced shuriken to take down the pursuing flyers, which was until a walker in flight mode appeared from behind them. He threw his shuriken at it, but they only scratched the armor and fell off, much to his ire. "Kit, I think the turret has totally cooled down, so you can use it now," said Kurama. Naruto moved to the turret, but he saw that the walker was beginning to open fire. "Shadow, watch out. The mech is about to shoot at us." Shadow could see from the rearview mirror as he turned the wheel to make the buggy take evasive maneuvers to avoid the gunfire. However, he couldn't dodge all of them as some of the shots struck parts of the buggy, and Naruto used a kunai to deflect some. He aimed the gun turret at the walker, opened fire at him in short bursts. The walker suffered some damage from the rapid fire before retaliating with missiles. Naruto aimed at the incoming projectiles and quickly shot them down before resuming his attack on the mech. Suffering from critical damage, the walker dive-bombed at them with its drills rotating. "Oh no, you don't!" Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto created a pair of shadow clones who leapt off the buggy and towards the walker. The clones held their hands close as they formed the giant ball Rasengan, which they used to slam into the mech, which resulted in an explosion. Naruto turned the turret on the next cargo and fired, destroying it as well and finally revealing the train. "Aim for the wheels," said Shadow. "Gotcha." Naruto shot at the left wheel and soon focused on the right as well. Music end. Then the train started to skid on the rails before slowing to a stop. Shadow stopped the buggy beside it, and they got off before walking towards the steel door at the back. Naruto took out kunai, which he channeled wine chakra through before slashing the door open. Then they walked inside to find Dr. Eggman sitting on a revolving chair with his back to them. "Couldn't you have been gentler with the door?" He swiveled around to look at them. "So what is it you want?" Shadow stepped forward. "Who is Mafils? And why are you trying to capture him? What is this guy up to? First he goes after Princess to attain the flames of disaster, and now he's after Mafils for who knows what?" thought Naruto. It might be possible that those two are related, said Kurama. If you want to know, should go find him yourself. But here's a hint, it's all linked to the Solana disaster 10 years ago, said Eggman. The Solaris Project, said Shadow. Solaris Project? Asked Naruto, who looked confused. 10 years ago, the Duke of Solana was the driving force behind a research project whose purpose was unknown to the outside world. However, a great disaster occurred which took the lives of the researchers and the Duke himself. Could it be possible that both Mephiles and Iblis originated from this so-called disaster? Thought Naruto. There's no doubt about it, said Kurama. If you want to know the truth about Solaris, you must capture Mephiles and bring him to me, said Eggman. You're obviously lying. That stunt you pulled back then on me and the others shows that you'll definitely go back on the deal, thought Naruto with a frown. Shadow remained silent as he turned and walked away. Naruto continued to look at Eggman, who turned his attention to him. What is it you want, Fox? Asked Eggman. You're not really here, are you? Said Naruto. At those words, an arrogant smile crossed the doctor's lips. Guess you're not as gullible as I thought. How did you know? Because I don't sense anything coming from you. Where's the princess? Said Naruto with a frown. Do you really think that I'll tell you? Good luck finding her yourself. Then the Eggman sitting before him disappeared in a flicker of light, showing that he was nothing but a hologram. Naruto clenched his fists tightly as he growled in anger at this and quickly turned to run out of the train. He got out and noticed that Shadow was gone. Where did Shadow go? Said Naruto. He must have gone after Mephiles, but I don't think he'll bring him to Eggman though, said Kurama. What do you mean by that? I can tell that Shadow had dealt with Eggman before, so this won't be new to him. Okay then, but how can I search for Sonic, or the princess? Asked Naruto as he sped through the area. You should be able to use Sage Mode now. I've fixed more of your chakra coils. Just a little more and you'll be back up to a 100% and access the higher levels of your power. Thanks for the info, Dash. Naruto trailed off as he skidded to a stop upon seeing someone standing before him. Someone familiar, Nico? The said person turned around and looked at Naruto with a frown. Naruto, for the sake of the future, I will defeat you to prevent you from aiding the Iblis trigger who will destroy our world. Blaze lit up her claws in flames before charging at Naruto, who stood there stunned. The only thought which came into his mind was what? Naruto quickly ducked a fiery swipe before performing several backflips to build some distance from his current opponent, whom he has no intention of fighting. Nico, stop this. Why are you attacking me? Said Naruto, who was taking a defensive stance. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I must defeat you if you continue to aid the Iblis trigger. For the sake of the future, said Blaze as her claws were still lit in flames. What do you mean by that? Who told you something like this? Asked Naruto, although he had an inkling as to who told her, and probably Silver. Mephiles told us about you and the blue hedgehog, said Blaze. Flashback start. Blaze and Silver were walking along the streets of New City in Solana. They had gone to Eggman's base over at White Acropolis in search of Sonic, only to find that he wasn't there, though they found a blue case emerald which Blaze told Silver to keep it as a lucky charm. They were on their way searching for information of the hedgehog's whereabouts when they ran into a familiar figure ahead them. Mephiles, said Silver. The said person showed no reaction, but it was obvious that he was listening. I need to ask, who is the Iblis trigger, and why does he want to destroy the world? Why does that matter to you? Said Mephiles. Unless you complete your task, your future will remain the same, forever. The duo remained silent, unable to reply to his words. He's currently at the terminal station. It's now or never if you want this. Okay then, Mephiles, we'll be on our way then. Silver was about to leave with Blaze when Mephiles spoke up again. I must warn you that the Iblis trigger isn't working alone. He's being helped by an accomplice. Who is this person we should look out for? Asked Silver. I do not know his name, but be on the lookout for an orange fox with 9 tails. Blaze's eyes widened in shock as she instantly recognized whom he was talking about. Naruto is helping the Iblis trigger? But how could this be? She thought. Got it, we'll be on our way to the train station. Blaze, let's go, said Silver before running off. Blaze snapped out of her musings and ran after him. Okay, I'm coming. Flashback end. Upon arriving, Silver and I split up as he went after the blue hedgehog while I was waiting for you to appear. I was hoping that what Mafil said wasn't true, but seeing you here has proven otherwise, said Blaze as she shook her head in disappointment. Naruto clenched his fist in anger upon what he heard. That no good liar. I ought to shove a Rasengan down his throat. He must have deceived them again after escaping from our fight back in the future, said Kurama with a growl of anger. That's the only possibility we can think of, thought Naruto before turning his attention to Blaze. Nico, I need you to listen to me. Sonic and I are not the enemy here. We're trying to prevent the flames of disaster from being unleashed, said Naruto. Blaze was surprised to hear that, but the look of seriousness reappeared on her face. As much as it surprises me that you're working to prevent Iblis from ever being unleashed, I'm not willing to take the risk of the chance that you might release the flames in your attempt to stop it. To prevent that, I must defeat you, said Blaze before she retook her fighting stance. What? But Nico Naruto tried to explain. I don't think she'll listen to us, Naruto. We'll have to fight her like it or not, said Kurama. But she's not the enemy here, Kurama, thought Naruto, still not wanting to fight Blaze. I know, but with her wanting to change the future and Mafil's deception, she won't believe us so easily. Naruto let out a sigh of resignation before he faced Blaze and reluctantly took his fighting stance, which made her tense a bit. I can understand why you're doing this, Nico, but this leaves me with no other choice but to fight you. Very well then, said Blaze. Then they charged at each other to engage in combat. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Boss vs. Character. Naruto launched a straight punch, but Blaze sidestepped to the right and responded with a low sweeping kick. Naruto performed a front flip to evade the kick and moved away to create some distance. Naruto crossed his middle and index fingers and called out on his signature jutsu. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Several copies appeared next to him, and quickly moved in to surround Blaze, who looked stunned to see such a technique. Then they all attacked simultaneously from all directions with fists reared back to punch. Blaze snapped out of her shock as she stood on the tip of her right foot with her arms spread out, and proceeded to spin around rapidly while releasing flames from her body to create a fiery tornado, and moving around to attack Spinning Claw. The clones made contact with the flames and were sent flying from attack and disappeared in puffs of smoke. Then Blaze stopped her spin and leapt into the air and spin again horizontally with her right claw forward like a flaming drill fire claw. Naruto dashed to the side to get out of the way, but his eyes widened in shock upon seeing Blaze change direction and still stayed on him. Swift release. Shadow Dance. Naruto sped away quickly enough to leave behind an afterimage which Blaze passed through and landed on her feet. Then she suddenly heard a voice call out right in front of her. Nah. A shadow clone was sliding towards her with a leg reared back, and he wasn't the only one, as 3 more were sliding towards her from different angles in the same position. Rue, too. They lashed out with their feet and kicked Blaze into the air before she could put up any kind of defense. At the peak of her height, Blaze looked up to see Naruto descending with a heel raised in the air, ready to bring it down on her Uzumaki barrage. Axle Tornado. Blaze recovered in midair and proceeded to twirl rapidly while releasing hot flames around her to form a fiery tornado, and the flames burst from under her feet as she propelled herself towards Naruto. It was now the fox's turn to not be able to put a defense, as he got hit by the flaming attack and crashed to the ground. He heard Blaze diving towards him with her claws covered in flames and quickly stood up while channeling chakra to his claws as the blue energy coated them before elongating to appear larger. Kitsune Claws. He raised his claws to block the incoming attack, They struggled for dominance before jumping away from each other before charging in once again to engage in close combat. Naruto was attacking and evading as he used his kitsune style against Blaze, who was attacking and evading in kind with graceful movements, almost as if she was dancing. Man, she's pretty good, thought Naruto as he dashed to left while on all fours to dodge a fiery kick from Blaze. I must admit that she's very strong in her own right. Madara would have taken a liking to her, said Kurama. Maybe so, but we can't afford to lose because of Mafil's deceit. Naruto stopped the flow of chakra to his left hand in order to reach into his pouch and took out a Hashirama kunai. Then he charged at Blaze and lashed out with a slash but twirled out of the way and responded with a low leg sweep which he avoided with a backflip, and used his tails to wound around her leg before using the momentum to throw her. Blaze recovered in midair, then ignited a continuous stream of fire under her feet as she descended and took a defensive stance. Naruto launched an uppercut with the kunai, but Blaze used a palm to deflect it. Suddenly he let go of the kunai, which sent it flying into the air. He quickly retreated and created a couple of clones to attack. Not this again. Spinning claw. Blaze spun around once again, forming the fiery tornado, and the clones were knocked back. When Blaze stopped spinning, she noticed a growing shadow at her feet and looked up to see Naruto diving towards her with a blue spinning sphere being held on a palm. What kind of attack is that? I'd better not let it hit me. She immediately dashed out of his range when Naruto used his other hand to throw a familiar kunai at her. Blaze sidestepped to evade the incoming projectile and saw Naruto about to hit the ground when, to her shock, that he disappeared in a yellow flash and then reappeared right in front of her. Sorry about this, Nico. Rasengan. Naruto rammed a slightly depowered Rasengan into Blaze with the force, sending her flying into a cliff wall before collapsing to the ground, but didn't get back up immediately. Music end. Naruto walked over to Blaze and looked at her apologetically. I'm really sorry about this, Blaze, but Mafils has been lying to you all along. Sonic is not the Iblis trigger. Blaze looked up to Naruto. What makes you so sure that what you're saying is the truth? All this time, Sonic and I had been working to rescue Princess Elise from Dr. Eggman, who seeks to use the flames of disaster, or what you call Iblis, for his ambitions. If Mafils really wanted to help you save your future, why didn't he tell you about Eggman then? Blaze thought back on what Naruto said and noticed that he raised a good point. She had been seeing the robots moving around everywhere. She went as if in search of something and would attack anyone that gets in their way. Then if so, why would he lie to us about Sonic being the Iblis trigger, and what would he be up to? Asked Blaze. Mafils knew that Sonic would try to stop Eggman from getting his hands on the flames of disaster, and so he lied to you and your friend Silver to prevent that, but I don't know what he's after exactly. Blaze was silent for a while, which had Naruto worry a bit that she didn't believe him. Then he heard her finally speak up. I don't know if I should believe you, but I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll try to find out if what you're saying is the truth. Thanks, I really didn't like fighting you like this. It didn't feel right, said Naruto. Suddenly they both heard a loud whirring sound like that of an aircraft. That must be one of Eggman's robots. He must be near here? Are you going to be okay, Nico? Don't worry about me. I should be able to recover from that attack of yours. I could tell that it wasn't at full power, but enough to knock me down. So you go on ahead while I return to Solana. Okay, please be careful. Naruto turned and ran in direction of where the sound was coming from in hopes of locating Sonic or the princess there. If what Naruto said was true, then I wonder how Silver will change his mind. He can be very stubborn once he sets a goal for himself, Blaze mused to herself. Meanwhile, in a train yard, Silver was facing down whom he believes to be Mafils, but the strange thing is that this hedgehog had red stripes instead of gray and wore golden rings and called himself Shadow the Hedgehog. Silver had found Sonic earlier before along with the princess, and was about to finish him off when Shadow appeared to interrupt, giving Sonic the opportunity to run off, much to his annoyance. They engaged each other in a battle of chaos powers and psychokinesis, and were soon facing each in a state of exhaustion. Wrath. Silver reared a fist back and charged forward to punch Shadow. Shadow took out a green Chaos Emerald and called out Chaos Control. The emerald pulsed with power, and everything from his perspective slowed down, including Silver. Then he moved around the white hedgehog and performed a roundhouse kick on the back of his head to knock him to the ground. Silver got back up and glared at Shadow. "You don't bother. With the cave's emerald's power, I control time and space. You can't break free from it," said Shadow in a matter-of-fact tone. "No. I refuse to give up. I can't lose when there's so much at stake, especially when I'm so close to fulfilling my goal." Silver took out a blue Chaos Emerald and charged at Shadow, who responded in kind. They both stepped around the other and held out their Chaos Emeralds with their hands making contact while calling out at the same time. Chaos Control / Chaos Control. This action resulted in a time-space rift opening up between them before jumping back in surprise. "You induced a chaos control," said Shadow. "There's no way that I'm going to let anyone get in my way. I'll definitely change the past and save the world so that everyone can be happy," said Silver, looking determined. Shadow simply shook his head at the hedgehog's naivety. "Mephiles isn't trying to help you create a better future. He's trying to eliminate the past." "What? What are you talking about?" asked Silver confusedly. "I had met Mephiles before, and he only revealed a part of what he really knows, and the same could be said for you. If we wish to know what really happened, it seems we must see what exactly took place 10 years ago. Follow me if you want to know the truth." Shadow leapt into the rift, but Silver looked hesitant to follow, and was deep in thought. Could it be that Mephiles was lying? That I was going about this the wrong way? I think I'll find the answers if I witness what really happened back then instead of being told about it. Silver made up his mind and leapt into the rift before it disappeared. Naruto was currently running in between the mountains in search of the robots which could possibly have an affiliation to Eggman. From the sounds of it, it must be a very large one. Now where could it be? Naruto suddenly heard an explosion coming from the west side of his position and immediately changed directions towards it. He knew that he was getting closer as the whirring sound was getting much louder. He ran around a mountain and come upon what he was looking for. It was a giant flying robot fortress with 4 massive arms with inbuilt missile launchers, searchlights, and who knows what else Eggman might have built into the thing, though he took note of the glowing orange pod-like core located at its undercarriage. "Looks like the doctor is not playing around," Naruto mused. "Naruto!" He traced the voice to see Princess Elise hiding behind a large boulder away from the robot. He quickly ran over to see if she was okay. "Princess Elise, I'm glad to see that you're alright. Sonic told me what happened and that you would soon come to help us again. Eggman was taking me to a hidden base by train, but Sonic rescued me. However, that silver hedgehog showed up again to attack Sonic, and I was recaptured by Eggman, but I managed to escape, and now that giant robot is after us," said Elise. "Looks like I wasn't the only one keeping busy. I'll go and help Sonic wreck this robot so that we can get you out of here," said Naruto before running towards the battlefield where he saw Sonic running around it. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Boss, Exoberus and Egenesis. "Yo, Sonic!" Naruto called out to his fellow speedster. Said Hedgehog turned and smirked upon seeing Naruto running towards him. "Hey Naruto, guess you're done with your detour?" said Sonic. "Pretty much. Now let's take down another toy of Eggman's." "You got it!" Above them in the air was Eggman in his egg mobile glaring at Naruto, who had arrived to help Sonic. "Not him again. He's just as annoying as Sonic." "No matter, my egg genesis should be able to take care of them, then I can get my hands on the flames of disaster." The egg genesis rose to the air and locked its arms in a vertical position. Several compartments opened up and missiles shot out of them and headed straight towards Naruto and Sonic. "Whoa, incoming!" Naruto and Sonic took off with the missiles pursuing them, and they weren't the only ones, as several volleys having been launched from the other arms and targeting them. Sonic darted left and right to evade the missiles before they hit the ground and exploded. The same could be said for Naruto, who used the shadow dance to dodge, then would throw several chakra-enhanced shurikens at them to be destroyed. The egg Genesis descended to the ground while spreading its arms diagonally, and opened up at the ends as a squad of egg flyers came out, and proceeded to open fire on the fox and hedgehog. Sonic evaded the gunfire and was making his way to attack the robots when he suddenly came upon a good idea. He leapt into the air and used his homing attack on the egg flyers as stepping stones and landed on one of the arms before proceeding to run towards the robot's head. "Why, you little upper cannons, open fire! Shoot him down!" Eggman called out. Gun turrets appeared from both sides of the robots, and were shooting at Sonic. He darted left and right until he got close enough to jump on top of the head. There he jumped into the air and curled up into a ball before performing a downward spin attack which bounced him back into the air, and he attacked again. The damage to the head caused an electric surge through one of the arms to detach from the main body and explode. Sonic quickly leapt off the egg Genesis before it took to the air. "Good one, Sonic. Allow me to take a turn," said Naruto, who was cutting down the remaining egg flyers by flashing around and destroying them with his Hashirama kunai. He noticed a bright circle moving along the ground until it reached him. He looked up to see one of the searchlights aiming at him. Naruto noticed that light was being concentrated at the center and was glowing brighter. Instinct screamed at him to move, and he did so just in time to evade an orange laser which trailed, but he had ran out of its range. Naruto saw the egg Genesis descend towards the ground once again to release another battalion of mechs, but this time they were the egg gunners. He threw his Hashirama kunai at one of them before flashing over to it, and grabbed to throw it at another until landing on top of another arm of the egg Genesis. Naruto dashed towards the head, and created a shadow clone who ahead and turned to face the original with his hands cupped together. Naruto stepped on it, and was launched into the air above the robot's head. There he created another shadow clone and together held their hands close as they formed the giant ball Rasengan before diving in and ramming on top of the head, which caused another surge to destroy another robot arm. "Only 2 more arms to go, Naruto!" shouted Sonic while evading a salvo of missiles from the remaining arms of the egg Genesis. "Begin charging core laser! Take this, Sonic!" shouted Eggman. The orange pod-like core located at the undercarriage of the flying fortress glowed with energy before firing an orange laser straight at Sonic. "Whoa there!" Sonic dashed to the right just before the laser hit where he once stood, leaving behind a large crater. "You might want to work on your robot's aim, Eggman. Perhaps a few more conks to the head would do the trick." Naruto landed nearby and called out to him, "Not anymore. The robot withdrew its head and my attacks aren't inflicting any more than a dent." Sonic looked back at the egg Genesis until his eyes settled on the core. "Then let's aim for the core underneath it. That should do the trick." "Got it." Naruto then noticed that the core was charging up again for another laser shot and currently targeting them. He reached into his ninja pouch and took out a black pellet before throwing it onto the ground, which produced a thick cloud of smoke. The core fired its laser, which pierced through, and it was clear that its intended targets were nowhere near the laser's trajectory. The alarm systems of the egg Genesis blared out before another of the arms broke off and exploded, and a blue blur sped away from under its shadow to reveal that it was the blue hedgehog who was responsible for what had just occurred. The scanners had picked up the location of the orange fox with 9 tails. It locked on to the second target, and was about to launch another salvo of missiles from the remaining arm when the fox placed its hands together to form a strange sign. Then large numbers of explosions happened around the arm, completely destroying it. "What? This can't be! Egg Genesis, take to the sky and fire your core laser at maximum power!" yelled Dr. Eggman. The damaged robot complied with its master's orders and proceeded to ascend while its core was glowing brightly with energy. "Looks like Eggman is going for broke with this incoming attack," said Sonic. "Then it's time for the coup de grace," said Naruto. "You got something that can reach it that high?" "Yeah, but all I can say is that you might want to get behind some cover." Naruto created a pair of shadow clones and they proceeded to work on a Rasengan. Sonic noted that this one differed from the ones which Naruto had been using so far, as 4 large white points resembling throwing stars swirled around the core, and was giving off a loud screeching noise. Wind style, Raisin Shuriken. Naruto called out, then his shadow clone took a hold of it, and flashed over to a paper tag bearing the Hashirama seal placed on the robot's head. The clone rammed the infused variation of the Rasengan on the egg Genesis. Naruto and Sonic quickly ran over to where Princess Elise was hiding and took cover. When it collided with its target, the spiraling sphere detonated to unleash a vortex of wind which swallowed the entire robot with its parts continuously being shredded by the cutting power of the wind. The egg Genesis completely shut down from taking massive damage and crashed to the ground before exploding. Music end. Sonic peeked from behind the boulder to look at burning bits of the robot, and whistled, "Whoa, that's some serious wind power. Too bad it can't be used for flying kites." "That was so powerful," said Elise in awe. "Yeah, but let's get out of here. I'm pretty sure that our battle was to give Eggman time to call on his forces," said Naruto. "We can lose them in the jungle. Tails told me that there's a gateway near here that will take us there," said Sonic. Then he carried Elise bridal style and proceeded to run into the woods with Naruto close behind. After a bit of running, they stopped before a lake where at the center is a small island and there is a large mirror which was displaying the image of a jungle with ancient ruins deep within. "How are you guys getting across? Maybe I'll have to carry you two to the other side," said Naruto as he walked on top of the water, much to Elise's surprise. "There's no need, Elise has a way for us to get across," said Sonic. "Yes, just give me a moment." Elise closed her eyes in concentration, and then a yellow aura radiated from her entire body before her and Sonic in the form of a force field. "Whoa, I didn't know you could do that," said Naruto with a look of surprise. "We discovered that she could create energy fields during our return from the dusty desert. It allowed me to cross over the shifting sands without sinking into it," said Sonic. "Could it be because she has the flames of disaster sealed into her?" thought Naruto. "It's a possibility, since the same could be said for having me sealed inside you," said Kurama thoughtfully. Sonic ran across the water with the energy field active, which gave Naruto an impression of a pseudo-water walking before following them to the mirror. Music start, Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Tropical Jungle, the jungle, the swamp. The trio jumped into the mirror and found themselves floating through a void tunnel until they reached the other side. Exiting from the tunnel, they were running along a dirt path through the trees. They stepped on a dash panel to boost them faster till reaching the edge, where they hit a spring which launched them high above the trees until reaching the top of a giant tree which was hollow inside. There was a spring pointing downwards towards another spring. Sonic, followed by Naruto, bounced off it to the other, as they descended in a spiraling manner, until reaching the bottom. The speeding duo stepped on yet another dash panel which boosted them towards a dash ramp, launching them out of the tree to the other side. Ahead of them were Eggman's mechs, who took aim ready to fire. "Looks they took a shortcut to get to us," said Sonic. "Then let's take detour," said Naruto. Sonic leapt into the air and performed his homing attack on the mechs. Even if carrying someone, his speed took little reduction. Naruto was doing his own thing as he pounced at one of the gunners with claws bared, then slashing rapidly before jumping off towards another target. Afterwards, the group continued on their way until reaching a ravine too far to jump across, and the other side was high above them. "Sonic, Naruto, look up there!" They turned to where Elise pointed and saw a long vine with a purple flower at the end of it. "You can grab onto that vine and swing across to the other side." "Good idea, Elise." Sonic took a few steps back before dashing forward to jump and grab the vine with one hand while Elise held on tight. He swung back and forth a few times before letting go to land at the other side. "Now's my turn." Naruto jumped to grab the vine too and was soon with them. Dashing down the hill, they encountered more of the mechs, which they dispatched with ease. Sonic dashed on top of a long tree trunk. Naruto swung on a vine which launched him to higher ground. Suddenly a laser fence appeared ahead of Sonic without. However, the hedgehog quickly as he lowered his legs and was sliding until they safely passed under the trap. Then he bounced off a spring into a cave. Naruto reached the end of the ledge and hit a dash ramp into the entrance of a giant hollow tree trunk. There was a spring at the center which he stepped on to send him all the way to the top, where he landed on a long, thin tree branch which served as a makeshift rail and proceeded to grind along it. Naruto looked down to see that he was high above the jungle canopy and couldn't even see the bottom. "I'd better watch my step or I might bing splattered ramen on the ground," Naruto mused to himself. "Hey Naruto!" He looked up to see Sonic and Elise grinding along a similar thin tree branch above him in a different direction. "How's it going?" "Just peachy." Naruto continued to grind along before sensing the gunners flying from behind as they opened fire upon him. He jumped a little to turn around and face, then he took out a kunai while activating the swift release to speed up and reflected back at them, resulting in their destruction. Naruto reached the end and flipped off to grab a nearby vine while swinging in an arc before letting go to land on a giant trunk with chakra channeled to his feet. He proceeded to dash to the top, darting left and right to avoid the branches. Then he jumped and landed on a spring which bounced him towards an open cave entrance. He dashed through the tunnel with little problem thanks to glowing fungi lighting up the way. Spiraling around the passage, Naruto reached the end and jumped out. His feet landed on the cliff wall, then ran downwards while picking up speed. Naruto finally caught up with Sonic and Elise, who were also running down the cliff. "Yo!" Naruto called out to them. "Hey Naruto, let's rip it!" said Sonic. "You know it." They kept on running until stepping on a dash panel which sped them through a long shuttle loop and getting launched into the air by a dash ramp which was at the end. In their descent, the trio landed through an opening in the jungle canopy into what seems to be the swampy area of the jungle, as there is a lot of water present. They also that some of the egg flyers are patrolling the area. "For them to be here must mean that it's getting tougher for them to locate us," said Naruto. "That's pretty much it, let's keep it that way," said Sonic. Naruto crossed his middle and index fingers together and summoned several shadow clones. "You guys know what to do." "Yes, boss." "Transform." The sum of the clones changed into either Sonic or Elise while the others remained the same. Then the Sonic clones carried the Elise clones and took off indifferent, while making sure that Eggman's mechs had caught sight of them and followed. "Heh, Eggman's going wrench his mustache once he finds out that we just led him on a wild goose chase," said Sonic, smirked with glee. "Expect no less from a prankster," said Naruto with a mischievous grin while Elise giggled at the thought of it. They dashed forward while Elise formed another energy field to help Sonic get across the water, but they had to make haste as it wouldn't last for very long. The trio got to the other side and proceeded to run up ancient wooden structures all the way to the top. Sonic grabbed onto a vine and swung over to a rainbow ring which launched him across the area, with Naruto following after them. Soon they had cleared the area and were dashing through the jungle path, having successfully evaded Eggman's pursuit. Music end. The group were running through the lush jungle with nary a worry about being followed by any of the mechs. "Looks like we lost them," said Elise. "Pretty much, we won't be expecting them to show up any time soon," said Naruto. "True, but that doesn't mean that Eggman won't stop trying to capture her again," said Kurama. "That's the annoying thing about villains, they don't know when to quit," thought Naruto. "Elise, we should get you back to the castle," said Sonic. Elise looked a bit sad. "Oh, okay." Sonic took note of her sadness, and suddenly made a turn to the right, much to Elise and Naruto's confusion, who followed after them wondering what he was up to. That question was soon answered when they came across a lake surrounded by green grass, numerous trees blossoming, and the flowers floated in the calm breeze. Sonic led Elise down, and she walked towards the scenery with eyes of wonderment, and she wasn't the only one. Naruto looked around while feeling a sense of nostalgia as it reminded him of the forest in Konoha. The memories made his heart clench in pain as it reminded him of the fact that he would never be able to go back to his loved ones. Kurama leaked out his chakra as a way to comfort him, which seems to work since Naruto smiled a bit. "Wow, it's so beautiful. I've never seen so many flowers before," said Elise with a smile on her face. "Sonic, Naruto, have you two visited many wonderful places before?" Yeah, there are a lot of places that I've been to and I'm still discovering new ones too, said Sonic. Same here, and I got many great unforgettable memories from them, said Naruto. Once you both defeat Eggman, you'll leave, won't you? Asked Elise in a low voice. Both were silent as her words reminded them of the many times when they had to say goodbye to the friends which they had made on their journey. Naruto and Sonic faced Elise and gave her a silent nod. Though I've been frightened many times, I've also enjoyed this adventure. It allowed me to be something other than a princess. I was able to be myself, a girl. It sounds like being a princess isn't that easy, said Sonic. It isn't sometimes, but I love this country. Everyone in the castle, the children, all my citizens really, the same love my late father and mother had. You remind me of my father and surrogate grandfather. Both were leaders of my villager, and their love for it gave them the strength to protect it from all kinds of opposition. Although I was sad that they're gone, I'm also proud of them and promised to protect it in their stead, so I know what you mean, said Naruto while remembering the times he spent with the third Hokage and the conversation which he had with his dad in the mindscape. Thank you, Naruto, and that is why I'll do my best to protect my country. At first I didn't understand what my parents truly meant, but I do now. When you two leave here to go off on another adventure, remember this place. We will. I'll promise to never forget about all this if you'll do the same. Naruto stepped forward and held out his pinky finger out to her. Elise smiled upon hearing this and crossed her pinky finger with his eye. Promised to never forget about the good times we had. And don't forget about me. Sonic walked up to them and crossed his pinky finger with theirs. Then she suddenly hugged the both of them, much to their surprise, because she was holding back the tears that threatened to come out. Elise, please don't be sad, just smile, said Sonic. Naruto nodded in agreement. After that emotional moment, the trio continued on their way to the city of Solana with smiles on their faces despite the eventual farewell that would soon come. Meanwhile, high in the sky, the flying aircraft known as the Egg Carrier was slowly making its way towards a designated located. Dr. Eggman sat at the bee pit with a look of anger and determination. This is far from over. I will acquire the flames of disaster, and neither Sonic nor that annoying fox is going to stop me from achieving world domination. It was a normal day in the city of Solana and everyone were going about their daily activities without a worry in the world when suddenly a giant shadow loomed over the city. The inhabitants looked to the sky in curiosity, and began to shake with fear upon seeing something that was all too familiar to them. It was the egg carrier which was slowly flying over the city and towards the castle where Princess Elise accompanied by the ladies-in-waiting watched from the balcony. Then Eggman's voice was heard through the loudspeaker for everyone to hear. Princess Elise, ruler of Solana, your refusal to negotiate has forced me to take drastic actions. Meet me at the specified point alone at 4 o'clock today. Failure to do so on time will result in my leveling of this city so that nothing but ashes remain. Elise was silent as she was deep in thought before one of the ladies-in-waiting spoke up. Miss Elise, will you really go to him? I'm afraid so. In order to protect my people from harm, I will have to comply with his demands, said Elise. She turned around and proceeded to walk away. But mistress, isn't there any other way? Asked the other lady-in-waiting worriedly. There's no other choice. It is my duty as the princess of Solana to go. Elise resumed her walk with the ladies watching on with worry and hoping that someone would once again help save the princess from Eggman. Meanwhile, within the depths of tropical jungle, Naruto sat on the ground in the middle of a clearing cross-legged and eyes closed to show that he was deep in meditation. After escorting Princess Elise to the castle, Naruto went back to the jungle for some training in order to readjust himself to the natural energy and regain sage mode. Orange pigmentation appeared around Naruto's eyes before opening them to reveal yellow toad-like irises, and he was wearing his short-sleeved red coat with a black flame pattern around the hem which normally appears when sage mode is activated and disappears afterwards. Naruto looked to the west with a frown on his face as he stood up. You sensed that too, Kurama? Asked Naruto. Yeah, the citizens are panicking in the city. It must mean that Eggman has returned, said Kurama with a growl. Then we better head back to the city. Naruto immediately took off while darting left and right to avoid the giant trees for a few minutes before exiting the tropical jungle, and was on the road to the city of Solana. After reaching his destination, Naruto could see the looks of worry on the faces of the citizens as he walked along the streets. You might as well ask them what happened before we got here, said Kurama. Nodding in affirmation, Naruto approached a man and called out to him, Excuse me, but could you tell me what's going on? I just got here and saw everyone making a fuss. It was Dr. Eggman. He came here with his fleet of robots and threatened to destroy the city unless Princess Elise surrendered herself to him. So she chose to go to him in order to protect us, said the man. I see, thanks for the information, said Naruto before running off with a frown on his face. That guy just doesn't know when to quit. Now's not the time to complain. We need to figure out where they would be heading to, said Kurama. You've a point there, said Naruto before walking off to gather any source of information. Inside the egg carrier, Elise could be seen seated on a chair at the main control room as Eggman walked around. You wasted so much of my time. If you had cooperated with me earlier, I wouldn't have to do this, said Eggman. What are you trying to do, Dr. Eggman? Why are you trying to revive the flames of disaster? Asked Elise. Did your parents ever disclose anything to you about Solaris? Solaris's secrets are in his eternal flames. His power can change time and even manipulate the fabric of time itself. I wish to obtain this power and dominate everything in this world, from the past all the way to the future. You wish to rule over time? That's right, and the secret, it remains dormant in you, Princess. Dr. Eggman approached the control panel and proceeded to input commands on the keypad. The Princess of Solana and the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Once I have everything, the fate of the world will change. And one of the beautiful gems is just ahead. Chaos Emerald located, said the AI of the computer system as it displayed the target on the screen. Finally, now let's go collect that Chaos Emerald. Meanwhile, Naruto had met up with Sonic and Tails, who had also heard of Dr. Eggman's appearance in the city and Princess Elise's surrender. From what I've speculated, Eggman will probably head over to the ancient castle, said Tails. Then we should get there first and save Elise, said Sonic. Do you know how to get there? Asked Naruto. Actually no, but I heard of a bishop that would know of the way to that place, said Tails. Let's go and ask around for him, said Sonic. The trio went around the city while asking for directions to where the bishop could be found and were told that he was last seen at the Bell Town. They went there and found the man they were looking for. Excuse me, sir, we're looking for a way to enter the ancient castle, asked Tails. The way to the ancient castle of Solana? It's been a while since anyone has asked me that, said the bishop. The old castle is a holy place, and only those of the royal family may enter. Is there any other way? Asked Naruto. There is. The entrance is blocked by a special seal, which tests anyone who tries to enter. If you want to enter the old castle, you must overcome 3 trials. These are the trials of life and death. Are you sure you want to face them? Yes, we are, said Sonic with Naruto nodding in agreement. Very well, I'll take you to the trials. Then the bishop led the group out of the city to a forest through an unknown route until they found themselves standing before what appears to be an ancient temple, and there are 3 priests inside. Here is where the trials will take place. Speak to any of the priests to begin a trial. I wish you luck, said the bishop. Let's get this over with. We need to get to the ancient castle quickly, said Naruto. With that said, Naruto and Sonic took on each of the trials. The first was a test of courage, where they had to use warp gates which teleports to different places. Picking the wrong warp gate will send them back to the beginning while the right ones would get them closer to the goal. The second was the test of courage. Here the duo had to defeat several groups of robots without receiving a single hit. The final was the test of love, where they had to choose whom they loved the most, Both passed that test but refused to reveal whom they loved, with Naruto looking a bit depressed. Upon returning to the temple, Sonic and Naruto saw two large eagles hovering in the air before them. "You both have passed all 3 trials, these eagles will carry you," said one of the priests. "Thanks very much," said Naruto. Sonic and Naruto jumped and grabbed onto the talons of each bird as they were carried to the top of the temple, where they saw another one of those large mirrors which was displaying the image of ancient castle ruins. Without hesitation, they leapt into the mirror and soon themselves standing in the middle of a vast open plain, and a few kilometers from them are the tall walls that surround the ancient castle of Kingdom Valley. They ran down the road and were halfway across when a fleet of egg gunners landed on the ground before them, forcing Naruto and Sonic to skid to a stop. "You tin cans better get out of our way!" Naruto drew out a Hashirama kunai ready to attack, with Sonic crouching a bit as he prepared to dash at them. Suddenly a cyan aura surrounds all of them, completely halting their movements. Then someone landed before them, and it's to their surprise that the person was none other than Silver the Hedgehog. Silver thrust his hands forward, which sent the robots flying backwards and being destroyed in the process. He turned to face the duo, but they noticed that he wasn't aggressive, and soon Blaze landed next to him. "You two look like you're in a hurry," said Silver. He then looked at Naruto, "And you must be Naruto." "And you're Silver the Hedgehog. Nico told me about you," said Naruto. "Nico?" Silver looked confused. "Sorry, it's a name which I called Blaze since it means cat in my language." Naruto rubbed the back of his head, looking sheepish. "So what's going on?" asked Sonic curiously. "Circumstances have changed. I need to rescue the princess," said Silver. "It looks like you know the full truth, don't you?" said Naruto. Silver nodded in confirmation. "Yeah, Sonic was never the Iblis trigger, and Mafils had been lying to us this whole time. Naruto was right about him. Our true target is Dr. Eggman," said Blaze. "Then let's get a move on," said Sonic before continuing on his way with Naruto, Silver and Blaze close behind. Elsewhere on the dusty desert, Shadow, Rouge and Omega stood on one of the ruins overlooking the landscape as they closed in on their target with a new scepter of darkness in hand. Mafils appears to be headed for those ruins. "He's probably looking for the Chaos Emerald that's supposed to be there," said Rouge. "There's no doubt in my mind. His movements show that he's seeking any Chaos Emeralds he can find. Supposedly, he needs one in order to join with Iblis again," said Shadow. "I will seal him before that," said Omega. When he and Silver jumped through the time rift, they ended up going back to when the great disaster occurred in the Solaris project. It was there they discovered that Mafils and Iblis were both created from Solaris. Then the dying Duke gave Shadow the original Scepter of Darkness to seal Mafils away, hence explaining why the Dark Being was so familiar with him before. Silver pursued Iblis and held it in place with his psychic powers. Then Duke brought an unconscious Elise, who was a child at that time, and used a Chaos Emerald to sealing the flaming entity within her. After returning to the present, Shadow met up with Rouge and Omega, who revealed a shocking truth. The one who defeated and sealed him in the future was Omega himself. Apparently there was some truth as to what Mafils said before, that humanity feared his power and that he would turn against them, which was why they programmed Omega with the command to subdue Shadow should it ever happen. Despite that, Shadow still chose to go after Mafils as he remembered the words which Naruto told him, along with Rouge and Omega offering their full support no matter what happens. "Let's be on our way. I'm pretty sure that Sonic and Foxy are making sure that Eggman doesn't get his hands on the flames of disaster," said Rouge. "Okay then, let's go." Shadow skated off with Rouge and Omega close behind as they went in search of Mafils. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST. Kingdom Valley Wind, the castle, lakeside, water. Back with Naruto and the group, they ran down the broken descending spiral bridge as they jumped from one part to the other with the use of dash ramps and springs. "The path splits up from here," said Blaze, pointing at a dash ramp to the left and spring to the right. "Then let's use the classical divide and conquer tactic. Then we'll meet up at the other side of the castle, said Sonic. A sound strategy, we'll carry it out, said Blaze. Catch you guys later, said Naruto. Silver and Blaze hit the spring on the left, which launched them across the canyon towards an unknown part, while Sonic and Naruto did the same with the dash to be sent elsewhere. They landed in a circular platform where a group of egg gunners being led by a yellow one accepted is equipped with missile launchers on each arm. The robot took aim at Naruto and fired a pair of missiles at him. The blonde darted to the side as the projectiles flew past before dashing towards his target with fists clenched. Kid, heads up, those missiles you dodged before are coming back, said Kurama. Naruto looked back to see said projectiles pursuing him from behind. In that case, I can use it against my advantage, thought Naruto with a smirk, as he closed in on the egg buster who swung an arm at him. He ducked low and slid between its legs, then leapt onto its back as the missiles collided into it and exploded. All that was left are pieces of metal and a burning log as Naruto stood nearby with a foxy grin on his face. None have saved the lives of countless ninjas more than the great log. Meanwhile, Sonic curled up into a spiny ball and started spinning rapidly while standing in place. Then he blasted forward at one of the egg gunners and slammed hard enough to knock it off the platform before bouncing off to hit another like a pinball. He knocked back an egg gunner into a weak wall which collapsed to reveal something of interest. It is a vertical column that possesses an eagle statue on the top and a long horizontal bar with a green glowing orb collared to it. I wonder what it does, said Sonic muttered. For some strange reason he had an inkling to hit the green orb, which he did with a kick. The green orb rotated and a white jet stream shot out of it and weaved around the tall pillars ahead of him. That's pretty cool. Hey Naruto, we can use these jet streams as grind rails to get across. Gotcha. Naruto jumped onto the jet stream after Sonic, who was already ahead him. They grinded around the pillars, then Sonic immediately into the air to pass through a rainbow ring which sent him somersaulting high into the air before landing on another platform which Naruto landed on next to him after jumping off the jet stream. Ahead of them were tall thin pillars and there were vines intertwining each other to form a makeshift rope which is attached between the columns like a tightrope. Getting an idea, Sonic dashed forward and jumped in the middle of the tightrope which sagged from the weight before bouncing off high into the air and landing on a ledge that was formerly too high to reach. Naruto followed suit and they continued on the move and hit a wide spring, sending them higher. A squad of egg flyers appeared to attack, but Sonic used his homing attack and Naruto used the Hashirama to take them out as well as get across the land on a stone bridge before running along it to get to the other side. The speeding duo stopped before a cliff wall where a group of egg bombs climbed on it. The crab-like robots detected their presence and threw bombs at them, and Sonic and Naruto avoided the explosive devices and charged forward. Naruto took out a normal kunai and latched onto the cliff wall with chakra on his feet. Swift release. Bladed shadow dance. He sped up, leaving behind after images as he weaved in and out of the mesh while slashing with his kunai before reaching the top. Sonic also used the egg bombers as stepping stones to climb up the cliff as well. They stepped on a dash panel which boosted them to run vertically along a wall and arrived at the end of another where another one of those wind switches. Naruto hit the green orb with a kick to send it spinning for it to shout out another jet stream as it flew around, leaving behind a trail for them to grind on. Naruto and Sonic hopped onto the stream and slid along it. The trail rose and fell in height as they grinded along before hopping off to land on a large circular platform where another large eagle perched on a branch and staring at them with interest. I don't think that the big guy can carry two of us, so what do we do? Asked Sonic. Don't worry about it, Sonic, I got it covered. Transform. Naruto performed a single hand sign before being covered in a puff of smoke which cleared away to reveal a Hashirama kunai laying on the ground. Sonic was stunned at the sight. Whoa, Naruto, is that you? Yeah, now pick me up and let's get going, Naruto's voice echoed out from the object. Okay. Sonic picked up the kunai and waved at the eagle, who flew off its perch and hovered before him as he grabbed onto its talons with a free hand. Then the eagle ascended towards the sky and over the tall wall into the castle grounds. Elsewhere, Silver and Blaze had already found their way into the ancient castle and were currently running along a stone bridge. Darn it! I should have realized Eggman's scheme instead of going after Sonic, who wasn't the Iblis trigger, said Silver. Now's not the time to berate yourself, Silver. We need to hurry and save the princess, said Blaze, running alongside him. You're right. They reached the end of the bridge to a circular platform. They met an Egg Guardian with 2 Egg Gunners behind it. The Egg Guardian aimed both arms, which had large spheres attached, and launched them at the duo. I don't think so. Silver held his hand out as his body was covered in cyan aura to signal the use of his psychokinesis. The spheres were surrounded with the cyan aura and froze in midair. Then he thrust his hand forward to send them flying over the giant robot, and hitting the Egg Gunners, which resulted in them being destroyed. Blaze dashed at the now armless Egg Guardian and leapt into the air, Fire Claw. Then she launched herself forward with a small burst of flames while spinning horizontally with her right claw forward like a flaming drill, Blaze into the robot to knock it off balance as it crashed onto the floor before descending with a fiery kick to destroy the power core. They turned left through a short bridge towards a tower, but there was no stairs for them to climb to the top. Silver looked over the edge to see the broken stairs sticking out of the lake. He quickly used his psychokinesis to levitate them back up and reattach them to their original place before he and Blaze climbed up to the top. There were metal bars blocking the entrance, though Silver easily bent them apart enough to pass through. Inside were a group of Egg Gunners and Busters along with an Egg Walker. Silver used the nearby metal containers and wooden crates to knock the walker's legs off balance, then levitated it to bludgeon some of the smaller, while Blaze used the spinning claw to take down the rest. A large gate opened up nearby to reveal 2 large metal pendulums in parallel. Silver looked ahead to see a tower that appears to be weak. I can use that last pendulum to knock down the top of that tower. Silver along with Blaze jumped off to land on top of the first pendulum, and slammed a palm to make it swing back and forth before jumping to the next one. He repeated the previous action, and this time the pendulum smashed into the tower, which knocked the top half over before they jumped off to land on the bottom half. Silver went left as he jumped into the air and used psychokinesis to levitate himself over to a broken staircase with using an axial tornado to clear. Below them were Egg Bombers who were holding bombs at the ready to attack. Silver cut off his levitation before diving towards them with psychokinetic energy in hand Psycho Shock. He landed in the middle of the group and his hand on the ground, which released a shockwave which upon hitting the robots caused them to and not react. Silver grabbed them and was about to throw them off the platform when Blaze called out to him. Silver, wait, you can use them to destroy the next tower, said Blaze. Okay, Blaze. Silver focused on the targeted tower and gathered all the captured mechs in one place. Hold smash. Then he flung them all at the same time with enough force to also knock the top half of the tower. Silver and Blaze moved over to the next, and ahead of them was Stone Bridge, and on it were a pair of Egg Busters with another Egg Walker. The 3 robots took aim and fired a salvo of missiles at the duo. Silver brought a hand back as he charged the psychic energies in his body and waited for the missiles to draw close. Psycho Smash. He swung his arm to unleash a strong shockwave on the missiles to sending them back to destroy both the robots and the bridge. They then hit a spring which launched them into a few others to get across the waterline before landing on a circular platform where a giant eagle perched on a branch. I'll use my psychokinesis to carry you while I ride with the eagle, said Silver. Okay, Silver, said Blaze. Silver grabbed onto the talons of the eagle, then used his psychic power to lift Blaze as they flew into the air to wherever the bird is taking them. At the other side of Kingdom Valley lies a castle that is built into the wall with a large metal gate designed with the crest of Solaris, and surrounded by water but separated by a platform. It was there that 2 eagles, both carrying passengers, descended towards and dropped them off before flying away. So you made it here too, said Silver. Yeah, I had to take a few detours before getting a ride from the eagle, said Sonic. But where's Naruto? I thought he was with you. He's right here. Sonic held out the Hiroshin kunai for them to see as Blaze immediately recognized it. Did Naruto give to you so that he could teleport over to it? Asked Blaze. Not exactly, said Sonic before tossing the kunai into the air before being covered in a puff of smoke which cleared away to reveal Naruto landing on the group. I had to make some room for the flight, said Naruto with a foxy grin, making a small smile appear on Blaze's face momentarily before it disappeared. Once we pass through here, we should be able to get to the princess, said Silver, receiving nods of affirmation from the others. The group approached the gate that opened up when they got close and passed through a passage. After reaching the exit, they were surprised upon what splayed out before them. It is a deep ravine with the water actually rushing upwards with sets of ruins encircled by it, while there is a long broken stone path crossing over to the other side of the ravine. Looks like it's a straight line all the way. Is everyone ready to go? Asked Naruto, crouching low. You bet, said Sonic, doing. I'm ready. Silver floated into the air, ready to fly. Blaze simply nodded. They all took off along the stone path at high speed, with Silver flying above them and keeping up. Sonic, Naruto, and Blaze darted around the broken arches and pillars ahead. Then several egg gunners in flight mode descended from above and proceeded to open fire upon the three runners. Naruto dashed in front of the group armed with a pair of kunai and reverse grips while using the swift release to speed up his reflexes as he deflected the shots. Then Silver used a psycho smash to paralyze the mechs as they flew out of control and crashed into the pillars. The stone path broke apart a few times, but the runners traversed over them before hitting dash ramp to be sent flying over the rushing water. Naruto, Sonic, and Blaze made use of the ruins to leap from one point to another before actually skidding along the right side of the watery gorge and sped on it as it slanted back into the path. Darting around a few more times did the path slant to the left side of the ravine before slanting back. The exit is near, said Silver, pointing far ahead of them. Gotcha, Naruto responded. The trio hit a dash ramp at the end of the broken path and once again used the torn ruins as stepping stones before stopping in front of the gate with a skid. Music end. We made it, said Sonic. Yeah, but let's hurry, said Naruto as he ran towards the gate with the others close behind. In the egg carrier, an alarm was going off and Eggman was rapidly typing keys on the computer while Elise watches on worriedly. Huh! The engines are malfunctioning, and what's this? Stop all engines now, said Dr. Eggman. However, the commands failed to execute. No. We're about to crash. Outside the egg carrier, a section of the ship burst into flames, which was soon followed by another. Naruto and others had finally come out of Kingdom Valley and were about to continue on when they heard a sound and looked up, only to be horrified upon seeing the egg carrier in flames and rapidly losing altitude, and then explodes into an orange tint behind a mountain. Elise! Sonic cried out in despair. We were too late, we failed, Naruto muttered in disbelief. Memories of when Neji sacrificed his life to protect him despite his oath to protect everyone during the war. Although Hinata and Kurama were able to restore his zeal, the death of his friends still plagued his heart. Sonic fell to his knees and pounded the group in anger and sorrow. Naruto simply stood there with tears building in his eyes. Blaze walked over and placed a hand on his shoulders in an attempt to comfort him. Silver looked down sadly before suddenly perking up in realization and then looks at Sonic and Naruto. Wait, there's still a way to change this, said Silver. Everyone turned to look at him in confusion and a bit of hope. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. If we return to an earlier point in time, we can save her. That's a great idea, Silver. Then we would be able to get on board the egg carrier and get Princess Elise out before it crashes, said Naruto. Sonic got to his feet with a look of understanding and hope. I understand. He brought out the cyan Chaos Emerald and Silver brought out his white Chaos Emerald. Then they approached each other while Naruto and Blaze are watching. They crossed their Chaos Emeralds together and raised them to the air before calling out simultaneously Chaos Control. Then a blue swirling portal appeared in midair. Naruto, I need you to listen to what I'm about to say. Kurama, who had been silent for a while, suddenly spoke out. What is it, Kurama? Thought Naruto. I want you to follow Silver and Blaze back to the future. What? Why should I do that when I should be helping Sonic save the princess? Asked Naruto, who was surprised by Kurama's suggestion. I can tell that those two intend to fight Iblis and seem to have a way to defeat it, a method which we could learn about and use should the flames ever be released. But still, don't worry about the princess. Sonic should be able to rescue her this time for sure. Okay, Kurama, we'll go with your plan. Naruto let out a sign before turning his attention to see Sonic hand over the Cyan Chaos Emerald over to Silver. Okay, Naruto, let's get going, said Sonic. Actually, Sonic, we might need to split up again. I'll be going with Silver and Blaze to the future, said Naruto, much to the surprise of the others. What? But why? Asked Sonic confusedly. Just a feeling that they'll need my help. I have faith that you'll save the princess. Okay, Naruto, but be sure to come back in one piece. I definitely will, and that's a promise, said Naruto with a smirk. Sonic smirked back before jumping into the portal, then Naruto turned to Silver and Blaze. Are you sure about this, Naruto? Wouldn't it be better for you to follow Sonic? Asked Silver. Of course, I have faith in Sonic to come through with it, which leaves me to helping you guys fight against Iblis, said Naruto. Okay then, let's go back to the future. Silver leapt into the portal with Blaze and Naruto close behind. Upon exiting the portal, the newly made group found themselves standing on a ledge overlooking Flame Core. Never thought I would find myself back here again, Naruto muttered to himself before turning to see Silver holding the Chaos Emeralds. I know how to save our world now, we don't have to change to past, said Silver. Do you have a plan? Asked Blaze. Yeah, and I guarantee that it will work. If you're sure of it, then we need to head for Iblis as soon as possible, said Naruto. Kurama, can you sense where it is? It's currently residing deep within the volcano where we last encountered it. Seems it was still recovering from the damage that you and the others inflicted on it, said Kurama. Alright, I've located where Iblis is, so let's get going. Okay then, said Silver. With that said, Naruto lead the group towards the volcano where they'll face and take it down once and for all. Back in the present, in an unknown underwater facility, the egg carrier was currently making preparations to take off as the bay doors slowly opened. Gate open, thrusters increasing, engine output at maximum. Course plotted, lifting off, said the AI over the PA. The docks holding the egg carrier dislodged themselves as the ship slowly moved forward and increasing speed. Up above the ship, Sonic, having found his way into Eggman's hidden base with the help of Tails and Knuckles, was running along one of the catwalks. He jumped off and managed to land on top of the ship's tailfin. I made it, now to rescue Elise before the ship crashes. I hope things are also working out well on Naruto and Silver's side, said Sonic before the egg carrier shot out of the underwater base. Meanwhile, Naruto and the others had made their way into the core of the volcano, having traversed through the lava tubes with the minions of Iblis getting in their way. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Flame Core Volcano. Get out of our way, Rasengan! Naruto rushed forward and rammed the blue sphere into the core of a titan which resembles the golems from before but possess a black-purple coloration and appear to be stronger. They had started running into the black-purple variations of Iblis minions that were much tougher than the ones that they fought before. It must mean that Iblis is slowly awakening its power to the point that it could create much stronger monsters, said Kurama. Then we better pick up the pace, thought Naruto. The trio ran along the stone pathway and through a tunnel until emerging at the other side where the entire cave was completely dark and only large volumes of the lava could be seen. We need to get through here as quickly as we can, said Blaze, emitting flames from her body to light up the way. Silver channeled his psychokinetic energy throughout his body for a similar effect, and Naruto's eyes was already attuned to the dark. The trio moved forward to the edge of the path before them. Silver slammed a palm on the ground, causing a circular platform that was floating in the lava to move towards them with his psychokinesis. They all jumped onto the platform with Silver controlling it to float over to another part of the cavern before jumping off. Keep on the move. Suddenly a pair of Iblis worms and a few Iblis takers burst out from the ground before charging at them. Naruto stood at the ready as one of the Iblis worms lunged at him with its jaws wide open. At the last second he sidestepped to evade the attack and responded with a flip kick to knock its head into the air. Then he threw a Hiroshin kunai upwards and disappeared in a flash. He reappeared to catch the kunai in midair with a Rasengan in hand, which he rammed into the worm's head, sending them both plummeting to the ground and forming a crater. Psycho Smash! He swung his arm to unleash a strong shockwave on the other Iblis worm to paralyze it before using psychokinesis to wrench it out of the ground and flung it into the lava below them. Blaze engaged the Iblis takers as she leapt into the air. Fire Claw. Then she launched herself at one of the flying enemies and took it down with a backflip before lunging at her next target, then wrapped it up with an Axle Tornado to take the remainder out. They continued on their way via more floating platforms across the dark room until reaching the end and passing through a lava tube to end at the end where the cave was a lot brighter now. In the middle of a much larger room, the group saw a gigantic sphere made out of lava hovering in the air while emanating flames around its form. What is that ball of flame? Is that the power of Iblis? Asked Silver. Seems like it. I can sense the energy signature of it within, said Blaze. All we know is that it's got to go, said Naruto. The trio ran down the slope and leapt over the lava onto a platform with a large boulder nearby. It was at that moment when the sphere unleashed a wave of flames outwardly around it. By instinct, they ran behind the boulder for cover as the wave passed over them. They waited for a bit longer, then the lava sphere released another wave after a few moments. It seems like the attacks come in regular intervals, Silver spoke up. Then we could use the time delay to get close enough to destroy it, said Naruto. They ran out and jumped onto another platform and went to hide behind another before waiting for the next wave to be released, and sure enough it happened. Silver saw that there weren't any more platform and used his psychokinesis to summon stone pillars below them to serve as footholds. The group crossed to yet another platform and repeated the process until getting close enough to the lava sphere to make a move. Naruto spoke up for them to hear. Silver, I'll need you to use psychokinesis to throw me high into the air right above the lava ball so that I can use the Rasengan to destroy it. Got it. Silver held out a palm towards Naruto as he was engulfed in the cyan aura and lifted into the air before being thrown high up until reaching the cavern ceiling, which he latched onto with his chakra-coated feet. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A copy of himself appeared next to him, ready for action. Time to crack this hot egg. Got it, boss. They held their hands as the chakra gathered around to form a blue spinning sphere before its size increased. Then they leapt off the ceiling and dove towards the lava sphere. Giant Ball Rasengan. Once the large blue spinning sphere made contact, it grinded through it and completely blew away the entire lava sphere, causing all of the lava around them to instantly cool down to the point of forming a platform and revealing a tunnel before them. Music end. Just as I expected, said Silver, having landed on the ground with Blaze landing not soon after. Pretty much that, said Naruto. Now all we have to do is take Iblis down. Then let's get a move on. Naruto, Silver and Blaze went inside the tunnel towards what they hoped to be the final battle against Iblis. Back in the present over at the Dusty Desert, Shadow and his team had finally located Mafils in one of the underground temples, but they were too late as the Dark Being already had one of the Chaos Emeralds. Mafils, Shadow called out. Mafils turned around while holding the yellow Chaos Emeralds with a non-visible smirk on his face. I was expecting you much sooner. As you must know, you're already too late. But there's still time for you to change your mind. Join me, Shadow. Let us teach this world a lesson and rewrite the future. Don't try to deceive me. You have no desire for revenge. You only crave for destruction. Your only lust is to fuel Iblis until there's nothing of time itself, said Shadow with a scowl. It's a pity, Shadow the Hedgehog. Truly a shame that you would go against me. Mephiles held the Chaos Emerald to float into the air before releasing an energy pulse strong to send Shadow and the others skidding backwards, and the entire platform's surface turns dark. Target locked on, commencing subjugation for ceiling, said Omega as he transformed his clawed fingers into arm cannons. We're with you to the end, Shadow, said Rouge, hovering in the air. Shadow nodded in affirmation before charging forward towards Mephiles with them by his side. In the egg carrier, an alarm was going off and Eggman was rapidly typing keys on the computer while Elise watches on worriedly. Huh! The engines are malfunctioning, and what's this? Stop all engines now, said Dr. Eggman, however the commands failed to execute. No! We're about to crash. Playtime is over, a voice spoke out. Everyone turned to the voice and saw that it was none other than Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic! Elise called out happily as she ran to stand behind him. This ship is about to crash, too bad, Eggman, Sonic smirked at the irate doctor who was throwing a tantrum. I'm not finished yet. You keep getting in my way, you pesky little hedgehog, so I'll take you out myself, summon the egg wyvern, said Eggman angrily. Right back at ya. I'll finish things here. Sonic stood protectively in front of Elise, ready for an incoming fight. In the future, Naruto and the group had exited from the tunnel which led out of the cave and stood on a large platform overlooking a sea of lava. Suddenly a large pillar of flame shot out before them and faded away to reveal Iblis, who was in a much more humanoid form and appearing way bigger than its previous form. Come on, Iblis. This time I'll finally stop you, Silver declared. That's right, time for the final round. Naruto as he flared his chakra. Music start, Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Boss, Iblis. Iblis slowly approached where the group are as hardened balls of lava emerged from the magma ocean and swirled around it. The burning entity raised both hands in the air to launch them towards its targets. Silver stepped forward with his palms held outward as several lava balls were caught with his psychokinetic powers. However, there were some which weren't caught and continued to crash into the platform. Nico, come on! We need to deflect the other lava balls that Silver couldn't catch, said Naruto. Okay, Naruto, said Blaze. The duo quickly positioned themselves on either of Silver and swung into action. Blaze used her Fire Claw and Axle Tornado to knock the stray lava balls back into the magma, while Naruto busted out a new jutsu for the job. Swift Release, Shadow Rush. He began moving around and kicking away the incoming lava balls from his side at speeds enough to leave afterimages behind. Silver gathered all of the lava balls in one place, hold smash. Then he flung them all at the same time at Iblis, all making their mark and causing the entity to roar in agony before walking towards them once more. It stopped midway and put its hands together while interlinking its fingers almost as if performing a hand sign, then waves of fire shot out towards them as the targets. Guys, move out of the way of the flames, said Naruto urgently before they took evasive action to avoid the flames. However, that gave Iblis the opportunity to move close enough to be right in front of them. The flaming giant raised both arms into the air before bringing it down on the platform and shattering the edges, making it smaller. He's trying to destroy the foothold. We shouldn't let it get to us, said Blaze. It's no different from when we last encountered it with Sonic and the others, said Kurama. Yeah, if worse comes to worse, we might have to kick things up a notch, thought Naruto. Iblis lowered its head to roar at them and prepared to attack the platform again. Silver ran forward and jumped off the platform and levitated halfway before landing on its head. There he slammed a palm on top of green eye located on its forehead and released a blast of psychokinetic energy which launched him back to the platform while Iblis gripped its forehead in pain and recoiled back across the magma sea. Iblis finally recovered, then it put its hands together again, and this time a massive ball of lava appeared in the sky above it. He's trying to destroy the foothold from the distance this time. Here it comes, said Blaze. Don't worry, Blaze, I got this, said Silver. Iblis launched the flaming sphere, and as it drew close, he held out a palm and with some effort was able to catch it. Silver brought a hand back as he charged the psychic energies in his body Psycho Smash. Then he swung his arm to unleash a strong shockwave to send the giant lava ball back at Iblis and damaging it. Good one, Silver, but it's not over yet, said Naruto, and just like he said, Iblis roared out at them in anger as it launched another salvo of lava balls much more in number than before. I don't think I can get all of them this time, said Silver. Don't worry, I got this. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto crossed his middle and index fingers together before there was a puff of smoke which faded away to reveal a large group of clones behind him. Let's get to it, guys. Okay, said the clones simultaneously. They all leapt towards the incoming flaming projectiles, each with a Rasengan in hand which they used to destroy the lava balls before disappearing in a puff of smoke afterwards, while Silver captured a few more and sent them back at Iblis. Iblis concentrated once more to create another large lava sphere which is twice the size of the first one, and Naruto knew that Silver won't be able to catch this one. Kurama, it's go time, thought Naruto as he raised a palm above his head before bringing it down on the seal on his stomach and twisted. You got it, kid! Kurama released his chakra throughout Naruto's chakra system. Naruto took on an immediate transformation as his body is coated in yellow chakra, with his clothes undergoing the same thing and emanating like that of flickering flames. 2 front spikes of his hair pointed upwards to resemble horns, 6 black magatama markings around the collar of his jacket with a prominent swirled design over the stomach, and various other archaic lines extending along his body. This was Naruto's chakra mode. Silver and Blaze were stunned upon seeing Naruto's sudden transformation. What kind of power is this? So much is pouring out of him, thought Silver. This power, it feels so warm like the sun. Just what are you, Naruto? Thought Blaze. Here goes. Naruto took off at high speed as he jumped off the platform and was flying straight towards the massive incoming lava ball. Then he performed a hand sign as an arm made out of yellow chakra shot out of his back, which waved in an arc and formed multiple giant ball Rasengan above his head before multiple chakra arms appeared to hold the spheres Rasen Rampage and thrust them towards the target. The spinning spheres rammed in from different angles and completely destroyed the lava ball. Iblis swung an arm at Naruto in an attempt to swat him away, but the blonde sped away in a yellow streak and positioned at its left and slugged it across its face. Naruto turned to call out to the other Silver, come on. On my way! Silver levitated himself into the air and flew on towards the battle. Naruto created a shadow clone to go and carry Blaze with the chakra claw. Iblis lashed out with a punch, to which Naruto thrust a hand forward for a large hand made out of chakra which caught the punch. Silver used his psychokinetic power to levitate a large rock pillar nearby and swung it to hit it in the torso. Fire Claw! Blaze leapt off the clone's claw, launching herself forward with a small burst of flames while spinning horizontally with her right claw forward like a flaming drill before slamming into the middle green eye on Iblis' forehead, making it roar in agony before backflipping into the air and landing back on the clone's chakra arm. It only gets worse from here, Iblis. Aerial-tailed beast flash bullet. Naruto shifted into high gear as he moved around Iblis, leaving behind a long trail of yellow as he launched a high gear, all the while unleashing a combo of punches and kicks before finally backing away. And now for the finisher. He raised a hand above it, and a pair of chakra arms appeared from his back and proceeded to create a Rasengan with 4 large white points resembling throwing stars swirling around the core, and was giving off a loud screeching noise, wind style. Rasen Shuriken. He threw the elemental spiraling sphere across the magma sea before colliding with Iblis and detonating to unleash a vortex of wind which completely engulfed the flaming entity, with Naruto and the others retreating to the platform and waiting for the winds to die down while the Naruto deactivated the chakra mode. Music end. Everyone watched as a flame pillar rose up with nits of magma falling around and a defeated Iblis becomes a ball of flame. So that's his weakened state, thought Naruto. So what is that hedgehog going to do now? Said Kurama. Silver stepped forward while holding out the white and cyan Chaos Emeralds. Chaos Emeralds, lend me your power. Eternal Sun, the living flame that has been entrusted to the royal family. Fall into slumber with my soul, Iblis! You cursed flames of disaster! Naruto's eyes widened upon hearing what he said. Does he plan to seal Iblis within himself? It certainly seems so, just like how the princess was the container of the flames of disaster. He intends to do the same, said Kurama grimly. Naruto and Kurama watched the Chaos Emeralds glow up, then the flames are absorbed into both at once, which tried to inject them into him as beams of light. However, they noticed that Silver began to grunt in pain. Silver, what's happening? Said Naruto urgently. It's Iblis. It's refusing to accept me as its vessel, Silver grunted out. This is bad. At this rate Ibis will escape to recover, said Kurama. Blaze walked forward and placed a hand on Silver's shoulder to get his attention. Blaze, what is it? Asked Silver. I'll be the one to take Iblis. What? Nico, what are you saying? Said Naruto. My soul is already alit with flames, I will be accepted. Blaze takes the emeralds from Silver and uses their powers, and the Iblis was instantly absorbed into her at once with the flames swirling around her as her chest glows up in light. Nico, you can't contain the flames for much longer, said Naruto worriedly. I know, which is why I want Silver to use chaos control to stop time and seal us into a different dimension, said Blaze, making them look at her in shock. Silver immediately refused. No, I can't do that to you. Didn't we already go through this? We agreed to save the world at any price. But it's not worth sacrificing a friend. Please, Nico, there has to be some other way. Naruto looked at her pleadingly. You know deep inside that there is no other way. Naruto gritted his teeth in frustration, knowing that she was right. The flames refused Silver as the vessel, and he is already a Jinchuriki, so he can't do the sealing. Silver attempted to use chaos control but kept hesitating. I can't. I wouldn't know what to do without you. You fought alongside us to save the world. You're my friend, right? Said Silver with sadness. Say, you're still so naive. But that's what I like about you, said Blaze with a smile. Chaos control. A dark shield appeared around her, and she drops both emeralds as she and Iblis fade into the void. Naruto and Silver chased after her but stops as she floats upwards and waves goodbye. Good luck, Silver, and I'm glad to have met you, Naruto. Blaze floats up to the clouds and into light with its rays piercing through the dark clouds, quenching the lava and flames altogether. Naruto and Silver look up to the now clear sky at where Blaze had been. Naruto looked away with his shoulders shaking as he struggled to keep the tears at bay, with Silver feeling the same way. In the end, we still lost a friend despite everything, thought Naruto. Kid. Kurama could only extend his chakra out to Naruto as a form of comfort. It just hurts, Kurama. I could have done more, and yet I knew that there weren't any other way. I know, but remember what Itachi said to you before. Don't always place everything on your shoulders, or you might lose your sense of self from the burden. Yeah, I remember. I should return to the present and meet up with Sonic. Naruto approached Silver to talk to him. Silver, I'll be returning to the present. Will you be alright on your own? Silver was silent before finally responding. I think I'll be able to manage for now. Okay, but you can always call on me or the others when you need help. Thanks, Naruto, said Silver. The blonde fox smiled softly. They approached the Chaos Emeralds on the ground and were about to pick it up, when they suddenly emitted a powerful white light, blinding the both of them. What the? What's going on? Shouted Naruto, but they couldn't say anything more as they were engulfed in the light. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.